seems like it's almost a synonym for world-class Arizona. What APS, Arizona Public Service Company, has done in the last 128 years. That's right. That's the kind of history we're talking about. And a gentleman who's made quite a study of both the utility and the history, Don Brandt. He is the chairman of the board, president and CEO, Pinnacle West and APS. By the way, for somebody who just got here from Scranton, the difference between Pinnacle West and APS.
Pinnacle West is the holding company, the public company that's investor-owned, and the vast majority of our operations are under Arizona Public Service Company.
As we have had these discussions recently about APS and all of the things that are going on there and all of the things that are going on around the state because of you, we've talked about the past and the history of APS, talked about the president. Let's talk about the future.
All right.
What do you see?
I think I'm very positive on the bright energy future for Arizona. It's going to take many different forms, some of which we probably can't even dream of today. But we've seen dramatic changes in technology in just the last few years, and we at APS are getting prepared for the future. We're investing a couple $100 million a year in the grid, the wires that kind of connect it all together, and the grid's quite a bit different today, and it'll continue to be different in the future from a technology standpoint. The digital controls that we're installing, the meters that remotely read consumption for consumers, to some of the telemetry that we put along, so when there's an outage, rather than sending one of our troublemen out with a truck looking for the spot where say the cable is broken, we can isolate it within a few hundred yards, so he knows right where to drive, pull the tools out of the truck, and bring our customers back to service.
Don't you think, though, Don, that most of us take electricity for granted? Has any technology really changed that dramatically since Edison lit up the light bulb? I think the vast majority of people just say, well, we're going to plug it in and the electricity is going to come out and then this thing is going to work.
I think it's gotten a lot more dependable than back in Edison's day. Certainly our lives, we couldn't exist without electricity today. Back in Edison's day, it was a luxury. As today, not just all the electronic gadgets, but it fuels industry, it fuels economic development. Electricity is the lifeblood of a society, and frankly, the United States has the most dependable electric grid in the world, and we can track economic development around the world with electricity. Basically, societies don't advance without our product, and we're pretty proud of supplying that the way we do.
Thank you, Mr. Edison. I will tell you, though, from the standpoint of dependability, we in Arizona depend on you, because these manual fans that we used to have, that's
they don't
not
cut
as
it
effective.
anymore. No.
What does the APS Foundation do, focusing as it does on STEM projects?
We cover a variety of different charitable endeavors, but we do have a focus on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and education focus, because we think that's one thing, as my father used to say, an education is one thing I can give you that no one else can take away. That was my dad's quote. But we look at the jobs of the future, and particularly in our industry. We need a lot of technology-driven jobs, engineers, technicians, scientists, across the spectrum. And we look at the good jobs in the future in Arizona. More than 50% of them are going to require a STEM education background. So we're devoting significant resources to STEM. Just a few weeks ago, I was up at Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff attending a group. They had about 30 teachers, STEM teachers from around the state that we had supported through our program on STEM. And they were getting together a collaborative to share best practices, and they invited me to sit in for about an hour, and it was fascinating. I mean, first of all, the energy in these teachers, every single one of them, they'd come from such and such a school and give a presentation, and then you said, boy, nobody's better than they are. And then the next two would get up. And the interesting thing was not just were the students excelling in STEM, but the non-STEM courses, the English, the literature, they also were excelling in those.
Don Brandt, you think that there's a certain level of responsibility in your executive position with APS. Can you explain rate design to me in 30 seconds?
It's kind of A times B equals C. How much you use times the rate is what your bill is at the end of the month. And to get more complicated than that, we're into making sausage.
Right. And I don't want to look at that either.
No.
Don Brandt, he's the fellow in charge of three extraordinarily important words: Arizona Public Service. Put them together, it's APS. And it is world-class Arizona.